Mikasa Sukasa. You Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Look like Eddie Guerrero, man. You like to watch wrestling?
Yep.
Have you ever watched wrestling? On weed? That's the way to see it, man! It's rock!
What up, world? It's your boy Physics, and you know what time it is. It's April 8th. Welcome to another Wild News Joint. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I thank you for that. On today's episode, we're talking about possible NXT call-ups, the firing of Nash Carter, as well as what's going on with Johnny Gargano, and more right after this. Thank you once again, Wild Nation, for being in the building. So let's get to it. For our first news joint of today, we have possible call-ups from NXT to the main roster. WWE is reportedly considering Imperium for a move from WWE NXT 2.0 to the main roster. A news report from Fightful Select notes that there have been recent talk of bringing Imperium to the main roster. However, the pitch involved Gunther, BKA Walter, and Barthel being called up without Fabian Eichner. It was also noted that Imperium would likely end up on SmackDown as that is heavily discussed destination for the group. Gunther moved to the United States earlier this year and began working on the main NXT brand full time, joining Eichner and Barthel. Word now is that ever since Gunther made the move, the plan has been for him to end up on Raw or SmackDown. There's no word yet on why WWE is booting Eichner from the group or what they might have planned for him, but that's my job to keep y'all updated on that. I'm gonna guess with this, they're gonna have Gunther. God, I hate calling him that. But I mean that's his name. But they're gonna have Gunther come up and they're gonna have Barthel with them. They're gonna come and start as a tag team, see if they can get them rolling as a tag team, possibly be the ones to take the belts off the Usos, um, to show that he is somebody. Allow him to do a scene as a tag team wrestler, get everybody, all the fans, all the non-watchers of NXT to get to know who he is, even though he has appeared in a Royal Rumble or two. But get him to know who he is, and then have him go solo. Um, I would say the only unfortunate thing is if that happens, that kind of puts Barthel by himself. But maybe they also see him as a single wrestler. And they didn't want him coming as a group. Be able to come as a tag team and then be able to split off very easily. And then Barthel will just be a hand within WWE that people could pick up wins against, and be a good hand. That's basically what it looks like. And I guess Eigner will be the same thing if he's left behind in NXT. They already kind of showed that there's some notches in the armor of Imperium, and they're making sure that to show that if he leaves, this will be the reason why. Fightful Select also notes that LA Knight and Raquel Gonzalez have both been pitched for call-ups to Raw or SmackDown. It was noted that while Gonzalez seems to be expected by most within NXT, Knight's situation didn't seem as certain. One pitch for Knight on the main roster was seeing him work as a manager due to his highly acclaimed mic work. There was no word on if this role is favored over Knight being a regular in-ring talent, but it was pitched. There have been several pitches to bring Gonzalez up to Raw or SmackDown in the past, but they never came to fruition for whatever reason. However, word now is that many expect her to finally be brought up. I'm surprised she hasn't been brought up already. That kind of felt like that was going to be the idea when she left, but now she's a tag team champion, and I'm gonna guess whoever she whichever women's tag team they feud with first are going to be the ones to take the belts off of them, so Raquel can go up. I know they like sometimes to do double duty to show that this person is of importance, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see her come up and she also has the belt with her, but they're losing it as soon as possible. LA Knight, uh, I don't understand. When you have somebody that's good in the ring and also going on the mic, why do you want to relegate them just to the mic? Use both. The man can get over, and the man, I feel like he can be entertaining enough to bring people in. That's money right there. Don't lose your money because you think you're trying to be smarter than what you need to be. KISS. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That's exactly what WWE needs to do. If LA Knight comes up, it shouldn't be as a manager. It should be as a wrestler. And you can already put him in the mid card. Him, Finn Balor, him going for the US Championship, him go for the Intercontinental title. You literally have things you can do with him and have him be interesting. Or him just going after wrestlers that can wrestle. A few with AJ Styles, a few with Shinsuke. Like, it can be entertaining and we can get good matches out of it. Not everything needs to involve a belt, but if you're going to have somebody elevate the mid card and the low card, a person like LA Knight can do it. So use him to your benefit. Now let's go to the next segment. And that is this past weekend NXT release Nash Carter. Carter, whose real name is Zachary Green, is one half of the reigning NXT Tag Team Champions, MSK, and he's along with Wesley. Duo won the titles this past weekend for a second time at Stand and Deliver. Now I've seen this new story going around, especially with him and Kimberly, and also known as Abby Leif when she was in NXT. The talks of domestic abuse, mental and physical abuse between him, those accusations allegedly happened. And I've seen them. I saw them a few weeks ago. I decided not to talk on them because, anything can happen. And if it wasn't real, I didn't want to give any content to it. And if it was, it's a very delicate situation to talk about. But NXT, WWE fired him. But according to Wrestling Observer Radio, it wasn't because of any of the possible domestic abuse stuff. Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said WWE fired Nash Carter because of this, which his ex-wife put up, Kimberly, which says just another look into the kind of person Nash Carter is. I've had so much for so long because I was mentally abused, not to mention the countless anti-LGBTIQA plus statements him and his family make. So it makes sense why he got fired. Also, Brian Alvarez stated that's exactly what he heard of. Wrestlers Herbalized, Brian Alvarez heard the same thing, noting there were more concerns about this photograph than allegations. Because this is the second time, there's been multiple times where white nationalism and things as such has popped up with NXT. You had Seth Rollins' ex-girlfriend and her love for the man that should not be named from Germany. You had the little craziness going on with the freak Lars Sullivan. And then now this, even if it's a joke, which as a white person, why would you joke about this? Especially when your best friend and your tag team partner is black. And especially when you most likely have Jewish friends or people you know of Jewish descent. And this is why just because people are cool with you doesn't mean they're your ally. Because they do slick shit like this when they're around people they're comfortable with, people that look like them. um, and they do stuff like that. Because what's the benefit of it, and why would you do it when know, who you're cool with, who you consider friends? Like everybody you ran with, especially when you were an Impact, were people of color. So what is the point of doing that? And I can see why. And I feel like at this point, NXT and WWE really have a you do that once and you're out policy when it comes to anything that leans more towards white nationalism. And it seems like they're kind of almost getting there with right wing conspiracy theories as well. About who they're firing right off the bat if they find anything like that, because it's not good for business and it doesn't make anybody comfortable, especially knowing that you're willing to do that. Because I remember with the Lars Sullivan thing, and this was during like there was just an influx of black wrestlers in NXT during that time period. And we all know the one famous picture they took all outside, minus one person who didn't want to be in it because of his character, but it's okay because that dude was a scumbag to begin with. But we all know that picture, and there were like a lot of people that were backstage didn't wanted nothing to do with Lars Sullivan because they're like, yeah, he seemed cool, and then we see all this information and how he really feels about us, and we don't want anything to do with him, and that's most likely could have been the case for Nash Carter. So it makes sense. Wish him the best. If there's any truth with what's going on with him and his soon to be ex-wife, he needs to get help. But WWE really has a policy of don't fucking do that and you'll be in trouble. So there we are with that. And for our last news story of the day, let's talk Johnny Gargano. Johnny wrestling himself. Johnny Gargano decided to leave WWE last December. He's taken some time away from pro wrestling to be a father and figure out what the future holds for him in the business. In an interview on Inside with Chris Van Vliet, Gargano said he might only have 5 or 6 years of active competitive left in him. He stated, there was a big part of me that says I only want to wrestle until I'm 40, and that's only 6 years away at this point. So I feel like I have about 5 years left to really maximize whatever I want to do in this. Now, we all know how this kind of goes. People put a timeline. Look at AJ, he put a timeline that by the time his contract ended, he will be gone, and his contract ended, and that man is still here. He's in a feud with Edge now. But I mean, it's understandable. You on the road all the time. Your body goes through so much. Now he's finally gotten some time to step away for about 3 months. So, sometimes you just want a lot more than wrestling. You might just want to do a wrestling school and not be in the ring and be on the road all the time. So that's what he's trying to figure out. He went on to admit that he doesn't know where he wants to wrestle next, nor does he have a specific destination in mind. He listed WWE, AEW, ROH, Impact, and the Indies as places where you might see him in the future. But his dream is still to be a WWE champion. Obviously, a lot of kids' dreams is to wrestle for WWE, to wrestle at WrestleMania, to be a WWE champion. And that was always my dream, and that still is my dream. There's also things that change those dreams, like having a baby, wanting to be home more. So there's a lot of things I'm juggling right now, of like legacy mixed with being a good dad, mixed with how do I maximize the time I have left. It's a lot of questions I got to answer. I don't want I don't know what that is yet. I'm just hoping that as this all plays out, the right answer and the right path will kind of show itself to me. So I'm gonna say, don't be surprised if he pops back up in WWE. Don't be surprised. Um, as we And I mean, he named Impact, and I can see Impact only in the case of him not wanting to travel all over the place. Ring of Honor could be a place for him to wrestle if Ring of Honor is stationed in one place. But it seems like Tony Khan wants them to go on tour as well. So if that's the case, it's gonna be kind of iffy with him. I feel like whatever contract he signs for the next company he's going to be with, it's all going to depend on how many dates he has to do. I would say the place where he can get a good amount of money for the least amount of dates is where Johnny Gargano is going to head to. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what that place is going to be. But once we figure it out, I'll definitely let you know, because the world of wrestling is not the same without Johnny Gargano. And it's kind of crazy that AEW is turning into like NXT 1.5 at the moment, like that in between place, not 2.0 and not regular NXT, but that in between place of Samoa Joe and Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era. And if Johnny Gargano pops up there, then just basically the whole black and gold brand from that high moment. Oh, also Keith Lee. So I mean, yeah, this is where we are right now. In the words of LA Nate, yeah, this is where we are right now. Now let's get to some quick hits. Layla Hirsch injured her knee at the last dark taping. The severity isn't known, but her match was stopped and she had to be helped to the back. So wish her nothing but a speedy recovery. According to Fightful, Vince McMahon is aware that his sell of the Stone Cold Stunner at WrestleMania 38 was terrible. But he said it's okay as long as people were entertained and laughing. And definitely we were entertained, and definitely we were fucking laughing. I'll say this about Vince. I'm going to guarantee that as strong as he is, his core ain't like that anymore. Because, it was a kick that threw him off balance. Now, it doesn't look like when Stone Cold does it that he lays it in, that is kind of just like a push off the stomach. But that push off the stomach just took the wind out of that man. That man was just a flailing crash test dummy all over the place after that little kick to the stomach. Like, it was pitiful. There was some internal discussion at one point that WWE would use NFL star, possible Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, and NXT, aligning him with Pat McAfee after the War Games match with Undisputed Era, but it never came to fruition per Sports Illustrated. That would have just put a lot of big eyes on WWE, especially in NXT, But of course, like I said, it didn't happen, but it just would have been interesting to see what the shift would have been with somebody so big on the outside coming in to help with an angle in NXT. On the Kurt Angle show, Kurt Angle mentioned that he's having double knee replacement surgery next month. Speedy recovery to him. Alexa Bliss has been off WWE TV due to her impending wedding to Ryan Cabrera, according to PW Insider. The report confirmed that the couple is slated to get married at a secret location in Palm Springs, California this weekend. It was also noted that the guests attending the wedding will be informed of the location of the nuptials shortly before the ceremony takes place. So, she's taking time to be a bride. It has nothing to do with WWE not knowing what's going on. And usually when WWE when people get married or they need to go on honeymoons and things like that, WWE allows them to go away for a while. I mean, it's the reason that Jerry the King Lawler is unfortunately coming back to WWE because Carmella and Corey Graves need to enjoy a time away being a married couple. Next week's AEW Rampage will air in a different time slot due to the TNT's coverage of the NBA playoffs. TNT's schedule lists the Friday, April 15 episode as airing at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 hours earlier than usual. Coverage of the final game in the NBA playing tournament for the West, who will figure out who's going to face the Phoenix Suns, will begin on TNT at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, let's talk about what's going on in the world of wrestling tonight. The post-WrestleMania 38 edition of WWE SmackDown on Fox will air live tonight from the Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. WWE has not announced any matches for tonight's show, but they have confirmed the new undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns will be appearing. They are also teasing that a new challenger for Reigns will appear tonight. PW Insider claims Cody Rhodes will be at tonight's SmackDown taping, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll be on television. For what it's worth, it doesn't appear that WWE has officially assigned Cody to the Raw or SmackDown brand. New WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Sasha Banks and Naomi are also scheduled to appear tonight, along with Drew McIntyre. I would not be surprised the person that shows up to go against Roman Reigns is Drew McIntyre. Shout out to Kid Get Money. WoW Nation is in the building. Now, let's move on to Rampage. The April 8th edition of AEW Rampage was taped at the Agnes Arena in Boston, Massachusetts after Dynamite went off air. Tonight, we have Jon Moxley versus Willa Yuta, the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament Qualifier, Willow Nightingale versus Red Velvet, Swerve Strickland versus QT Marshall, Bryan Danielson with William Regal versus Trent Beretta with Chuck Taylor. That's what's going on tonight. So make sure to tune in and see what Laylo thinks about what went on in the world of SmackDown as well as Rampage. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me today on this Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Live your best life. And until I see you next time, peace.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when we go live next. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WrestlingOnWe, and thanks for watching.